Ryan Mitchell stared at his bank account balance on the cracked screen of his secondhand phone. $12.37. The dim light of his studio apartment in South Chicago cast long shadows across the bare walls. At 23, he was 3 months into an unpaid marketing internship at a struggling startup, working nights at a 24-hour diner to cover rent, and drowning in $78,000 of student debt from a business degree that seemed increasingly worthless. The refrigerator hummed in the corner, empty except for half a carton of milk and some leftover takeout from when his mother visited last week. Ryan rubbed his eyes, exhausted from the 16-hour day. His roommate had moved out last month, unable to make rent, leaving Ryan to cover the full amount. The eviction notice taped to his door gave him 30 days to come up with money he didn't have. His phone buzzed with a text from his girlfriend, Sophia. "Need to talk. Can we meet tomorrow?" The knot in his stomach tightened. Their 3-year relationship had been strained by his financial situation and constant working. He knew what "we need to talk" usually meant. Everything was falling apart, and he had no idea how to fix it. Earlier that day, his supervisor at the internship had pulled him aside. "Ryan, your work is excellent, but we can't offer you a position right now. The company's cutting costs." "I'm sorry." The words echoed in his mind as he scrolled mindlessly through social media, trying to distract himself from the crushing reality of his situation. A live stream caught his attention. Warren Buffett speaking to university students about financial literacy. Ryan had always admired Buffett, not just for his wealth, but for his practical, straightforward approach to life. "The best investment you can make is in yourself," Buffett said on the screen. "And the best way to learn investing isn't from me. It's from Benjamin Graham's Security Analysis. That book changed my life when I was young." Ryan paused the video, something stirring inside him. He'd heard of Graham before in his finance classes, but had never read his work. On impulse, he searched for the book online. $75 for a new copy? $40 used? Both might as well have been $4,000 given his current situation. The public library website showed they had a copy, but it was checked out with a waiting list. Ryan closed his laptop and looked around his sparse apartment. Something had to change. He set his alarm for 5:30 a.m. He would go to the university library before his internship tomorrow. It was a long shot, but what did he have to lose? As he drifted off to sleep on his worn-out futon, Ryan couldn't have known that this small decision, to seek out a book, would be the first step on a journey that would completely transform his life. The university library opened at 6 a.m., and Ryan was the first one through the doors. The security guard, an older man with salt and pepper hair, nodded at him. "Early bird today, huh?" Ryan managed a tired smile as he headed straight for the finance section, his heart sinking when he didn't see Graham's book on the shelves. At the reference desk, a librarian with kind eyes and silver-rimmed glasses looked up from her computer. "Can I help you find something?" Ryan explained what he was looking for, trying to hide the desperation in his voice. She typed something into her computer and frowned. "Our copy is in the special collections section. It's a first edition, so it doesn't circulate, but you can read it here." The special collections room was quiet and climate-controlled. The librarian brought him a weathered blue hardcover book. Security Analysis by Benjamin Graham and David L. Dodd, first published in 1934. Ryan handled it carefully, almost reverently, as he opened to the first page. For the next 2 hours, he read, completely absorbed, taking notes on his phone. He almost forgot about his internship until his alarm buzzed. Reluctantly, he returned the book to the librarian. "Can I come back tomorrow?" She nodded, making a note in her system. "I'll have it ready for you at 6. As Ryan rushed to catch the bus, his mind was racing with ideas. Graham's methodical approach to evaluating companies made sense in a way his professor's lectures never had. That evening, after his shift at the diner, Ryan returned to the library instead of going home. The same librarian, Ms. Winters, greeted him with a smile. Back so soon. She had the book waiting. Night after night, Ryan returned reading until closing time. Ms. Winters began saving him a spot near the window. "You remind me of my son," she told him one evening. "He was determined like you. Now he's a doctor in Boston." 2 weeks into his new routine, Ryan was making his way through the dense text when Ms. Winters approached with an elderly man in a tweed jacket. "Ryan, this is Professor Harrington. He teaches finance here." The professor extended his hand. "Ms. Winters tells me you've been studying Graham every day. Not many young people show that kind of dedication." Ryan explained his situation: the dead-end internship, the mounting debt, the eviction notice now just 2 weeks away. Professor Harrington listened intently, nodding. "Graham's principles aren't just about investing. They're about discipline and thinking long-term. Would you be interested in joining my investment club? We meet weekly to discuss value investing strategies." For the first time in months, Ryan felt a glimmer of hope. The investment club consisted of 6 students and 3 professors, all passionate about value investing. They pooled small amounts of money, $50 to $100 each, to invest in undervalued companies. Ryan contributed $50, nearly his entire remaining savings, and threw himself into researching potential investments for the group. Meanwhile, his personal life continued to unravel. Sophia had indeed broken up with him, unable to handle the stress of his financial situation and his new obsession with investing. The eviction date loomed closer, but something had changed in Ryan. He had a direction now, a purpose that went beyond just surviving day to day. Ryan's tiny apartment was now covered in printouts of balance sheets and income statements. He had created a detailed spreadsheet tracking 50 companies that met Graham's criteria for value investments: low price-to-earnings ratios, strong balance sheets, and consistent dividend histories. The investment club had voted to put their pooled money into 3 of his recommendations. Professor Harrington had taken a special interest in Ryan, often staying after club meetings to discuss investment theories. "You have a natural talent for this," he told Ryan one evening. "Have you ever considered a career in investment analysis?" Ryan laughed bitterly. "With my resume? No one would hire me." The professor was quiet for a moment. "My brother works at Meridian Capital. They're looking for a junior analyst. The pay isn't great to start, but it's a foot in the door. I could recommend you." Ryan could hardly believe what he was hearing. "But I don't have any real experience." The professor gestured to Ryan's meticulous research. "What do you call this? You've done more thorough analysis than half the professionals I know." The interview at Meridian Capital was scheduled for the same day as Ryan's eviction. He wore his only suit, slightly too small and purchased for his college graduation, and carried his research portfolio in a folder his mother had given him. The interviewer, a stern woman named Ms. Chen, seemed unimpressed by his resume but perked up when he mentioned Professor Harrington. "Show me what you've been working on," she said. Ryan opened his folder and explained his analysis of an overlooked manufacturing company in Ohio. Ms. Chen listened, occasionally asking pointed questions that Ryan answered confidently, drawing on his weeks of intensive study. By the end of the interview, her demeanor had changed. "We typically hire from top-tier schools with finance majors, but Professor Harrington's recommendation carries weight. And your analysis is impressive." Ryan left with a job offer, $45,000 a year plus benefits, starting in 2 weeks. It wasn't a fortune, but it was more than enough to find a new apartment and start rebuilding his life. That night, he slept on Professor Harrington's couch, having been evicted as expected. But for the first time in months, he slept soundly. His first paycheck from Meridian allowed him to rent a small but clean apartment closer to downtown. He bought his own copy of Security Analysis and continued his research in his free time. At work, he threw himself into every assignment, often staying late to complete projects ahead of schedule. Ms. Chen began giving him more responsibility, impressed by his work ethic and analytical skills. 6 months into his job at Meridian, Ryan made his first personal investment, $2,000 saved from his salary, put into the manufacturing company he had researched for his interview, The company had continued to be overlooked by larger investors, but its fundamentals remained strong. Ryan checked its stock price daily, watching with satisfaction as it gradually increased. By the end of his first year at Meridian, Ryan had been promoted to analyst with a salary increase to $60,000. His personal portfolio had grown to include 5 carefully selected companies, and his initial $2,000 investment had increased by 40%. He had also started a blog documenting his investment journey and explaining Graham's principles in simple terms for other beginners. 3 years passed. Ryan, now 27, had been promoted twice more at Meridian Capital and was managing a small team of junior analysts. His personal investment portfolio had grown to over $175,000 through a combination of careful saving and compound returns. His blog had gained a following of over 50,000 readers, many of them young people looking to escape the same financial struggles he had faced. One rainy Tuesday, Ryan received an email that would change everything. The subject line read, "Your analysis of Midwest manufacturing." The sender was Thomas Whitman, CEO of Whitman Investments, a respected mid-sized investment firm. The email was brief. "Impressed by your blog post on Midwest manufacturing. Would like to discuss a potential opportunity. Are you available for lunch this Thursday?" Ryan read the email 3 times, convinced it was spam. Whitman Investments managed over $2 billion in assets. After confirming it was legitimate, Ryan accepted the invitation, spending the next 2 days researching everything he could about Whitman and his investment philosophy. They met at an upscale restaurant in the financial district. Thomas Whitman was in his 60s with piercing blue eyes and a reputation for identifying investment talent. "I've been following your blog for months," he said after they ordered. "Your analysis of Midwest manufacturing was particularly insightful. We took a position based on your reasoning, and it's up 62% since then." Ryan was stunned. "I'm flattered, but why are you telling me this?" Whitman smiled. "Because I'm interested in more than just your public analysis. I want to offer you a position at my firm. We're launching a new fund focused on value investing, exactly the Graham-style approach you excel at. I want you to manage it." The opportunity was beyond anything Ryan had imagined. A starting salary of $200,000 plus performance bonuses, and the chance to manage a $50 million fund. There was one condition. Ryan would need to relocate to Boston, where Whitman's main office was located. He accepted without hesitation. The move to Boston marked the beginning of the most intense period of Ryan's career. Building the new fund from scratch required 16-hour days and constant research. He assembled a team of analysts who shared his value investing philosophy and established strict criteria for potential investments. The Graham Value Fund, as it was named, launched 6 months after Ryan joined Whitman Investments. The fund's performance exceeded all expectations. In its first year, it returned 22% compared to the S&P 500's 7%. Investors took notice and money flowed in. By the end of the second year, the fund had grown to $200 million under management, and Ryan's personal compensation had topped $1 million, including bonuses. Ryan used his newfound wealth to pay off his student loans and buy a comfortable condo in Boston's Back Bay neighborhood. He established a scholarship at his former university for students from disadvantaged backgrounds interested in finance. And he continued to write his blog, now followed by hundreds of thousands of readers worldwide. The financial press began to take notice. The Wall Street Journal published a profile titled "The Graham Disciple: How Ryan Mitchell Built a Value Investing Powerhouse." CNBC invited him for an interview about his investment philosophy. During the segment, the host asked what advice he would give to young people struggling financially. Ryan thought for a moment before answering. "The best advice I can give is something Warren Buffett said that changed my life. Invest in yourself first and read Benjamin Graham's Security Analysis," Ryan said on national television. "That book and the principles in it took me from nearly homeless to where I am today." The interview went viral, with clips shared across social media platforms. Ryan's inbox flooded with messages from people in situations similar to where he had been 5 years earlier. He responded to as many as he could, offering guidance and encouragement. His blog traffic quadrupled overnight. Among the emails was one that stood out, from Warren Buffett's office. The message was simple. Mr. Buffett had seen the interview and was impressed by Ryan's story and his commitment to value investing principles. He invited Ryan to attend the next Berkshire Hathaway annual shareholders meeting as his guest. Meeting Warren Buffett was surreal. The legendary investor was exactly as Ryan had imagined, humble, sharp, and generous with his knowledge. "Your story reminds me of myself at your age," Buffett told him over lunch. "The principles haven't changed since Graham's day. Patience, discipline, and a margin of safety. They work in investing and in life." By the time Ryan turned 30, the Graham Value Fund had grown to over $1 billion under management. His personal net worth had crossed the $10 million mark. Financial success had brought security and opportunities he once could only dream of, but Ryan remained grounded, remembering the days when he had $12 in his bank account. He established the Mitchell Foundation, focused on financial literacy for underprivileged youth. The foundation created programs teaching basic investment principles in high schools across the country and provided microgrants for young entrepreneurs. Ryan personally taught classes in South Chicago, where his journey had begun. During one of these classes, he recognized a familiar face, Miss Winters, the librarian who had helped him access security analysis years ago. She had retired from the university and was volunteering with a youth program. "I always knew you'd do something special," she told him, "but I never imagined all this." Ryan hugged her, tears in his eyes. "I wouldn't be here without you. That book changed everything." As his 30s progressed, Ryan expanded his investments beyond the fund, taking stakes in businesses he believed in, including a struggling independent bookstore chain that he transformed into a profitable enterprise combining traditional bookselling with financial education centers. He wrote his own book, From $12 to Millions, A Value Investing Journey, which became a bestseller and was translated into 22 languages. One spring morning, Ryan received a package at his office. Inside was a first edition of Security Analysis, identical to the one he had read in the university library. With it was a note from Professor Harrington. "This belonged to my father. I think it should continue inspiring the next generation through your foundation. Thank you for proving that Graham's principles still work, both in investing and in changing lives." Ryan carefully placed the book in a display case in the foundation's main office. Below it, he added a simple plaque with a quote from Benjamin Graham. "The individual investor should act consistently as an investor and not as a speculator." Next to it, he placed a framed photo of his old studio apartment in South Chicago, a reminder of where he started and how far he had come by following the wisdom of a book written decades before he was born. Today, Ryan Mitchell's net worth exceeds $50 million, but he still lives by the principles he learned during those early morning sessions in the university library. His story has inspired thousands of young people to pursue financial education, and his foundation has helped many of them escape poverty through the same value investing principles that changed his life. And it all began with a broke intern's decision to follow Warren Buffett's advice and read a book that most people would consider too boring, too difficult, or too old-fashioned to bother with. Sometimes, the greatest journeys begin with the simplest decisions. Ryan's story reminds us that wealth isn't just measured in dollars, but in determination, resilience, and the courage to believe in yourself when no one else does. We all face our South Chicago moments, times when the world seems stacked against us, when our bank accounts and our hopes run equally low. But within each of us lies the same potential that Ryan discovered in those quiet morning hours at the library. The true power of knowledge isn't just in acquiring it, but in having the patience to apply it consistently, even when results aren't immediate. Ryan didn't become a millionaire overnight. He built his fortune the same way the greatest investors do, brick by brick, decision by decision, staying true to principles that have withstood the test of time. Perhaps the most beautiful part of Ryan's journey isn't the millions he made, but the lives he changed along the way. From Miss Winters to the students in his foundation programs, His success created ripples that continue to spread, touching shores he may never see. As you reflect on your own journey, remember, every millionaire was once broke, every expert was once a beginner, and every success story starts with a single page. Your security analysis might be waiting for you right now. The question is, are you ready to open it? If Ryan's journey resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What's your security analysis? That book, mentor, or idea that could change everything for you? And what's stopping you from pursuing it today? Share your story, and let's inspire each other. If you enjoyed this video and want more inspiring stories of transformation and practical wisdom for your own financial journey, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. New stories of ordinary people achieving extraordinary results are coming every week. Thank you for taking the time to watch this story. Your support means the world to me, and I'm grateful to be part of your journey toward financial freedom and personal growth.